Your discipline is failing you, and you don't even realize it. That one moment when you hit snooze instead of getting up. That quick scroll through social media when you should be working. That takeout order when you promised yourself you'd cook. These aren't just small choices, they're the exact reasons why you're stuck where you are right now. But here's what most people won't tell you about discipline. It's not about being perfect, it's about something much more powerful. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what that is. Life has a funny way of teaching us lessons. Last week, I watched someone give up on their dreams because they thought discipline was too hard. They wanted the results without understanding the process. You see, discipline isn't just about forcing yourself to do things you hate. That's what everyone gets wrong. Real discipline, the kind that changes your life, is about understanding 3 fundamental truths that I discovered after years of struggling. Let me break this down for you. First truth, discipline isn't about willpower, it's about systems. Think about this every morning. You brush your teeth without having an internal debate about it. Why? Because it's a system you've built. It's automatic. But when it comes to working out, saving money, or building a business, suddenly we think we need infinite willpower. Here's a story that changed my perspective. There was this guy in my neighborhood, let's call him Mike. Mike tried to build a successful business for years. He would wake up motivated, work hard for a few days, then crash and burn. Sound familiar? He thought he needed more willpower, more motivation, more inspiration. But here's what really happened. Mike was trying to rely on feelings to build success. That's like trying to build a house on quicksand. It doesn't work. The turning point came when Mike stopped focusing on motivation and started building systems instead. He didn't ask himself if he felt like working, he just followed his system. Every day at 8 a.m. he would sit at his desk. Whether he felt inspired or not didn't matter. The system decided for him. This brings us to the second truth: small actions compound into massive results. We often think discipline means making huge, dramatic changes. Wake up at 4 a.m., work out for 2 hours, never eat sugar again. But that's not how lasting change happens. Let me share something personal. For years, I struggled with maintaining a consistent workout routine. I would start strong, hitting the gym for hours, pushing myself to exhaustion. Then inevitably, I'd burn out after a few weeks. They sound familiar? The real breakthrough came when I stopped trying to be perfect and started being consistent instead. Instead of forcing myself into hour-long workouts, I started with just 10 minutes a day, just 10 minutes. It seemed almost too easy. But here's what happens when you think small. Those 10 minutes turned into 15, then 20, then 30. Not because I forced it, but because small actions created momentum. It's like pushing a boulder. The hardest part is getting it to move that first inch. Once it's rolling, it builds its own momentum. This leads us to the third and most important truth: discipline is about identity, not actions. When most people try to build discipline, they focus on what they need to do. But that's backward. The real question is, who do you need to become? Think about it this way: when someone offers a smoker a cigarette, they don't say, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." They say, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." See the difference? One is about forcing an action. The other is about embracing an identity. Let me show you how this works in practice. Instead of saying, "I need to work out more," start thinking, "I'm becoming someone who takes care of their body." Instead of, "I need to save money," think, "I'm becoming someone who builds wealth." This shift in identity changes everything. Actions follow identity. When you change who you are, what you do naturally follows. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to change everything at once. They want to become a morning person, a fitness enthusiast, a successful entrepreneur, and a meditation guru all in one day. That's like trying to learn 5 languages simultaneously. It doesn't work. Instead, pick one area of your life, just one. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your work, maybe it's your relationships. Choose one area and build your discipline there first. Start with a simple system. Remember Mike? His system wasn't complicated. It was just about showing up at his desk at 8 a.m. every single day. No exceptions, no negotiations. Here's a practical way to build your own system. One, choose your starting point. Well, success begins with small steps. Most people don't fail because they aim too high. They fail because they don't start at all. We see it every day. Someone gets inspired, decides to turn their life around. They make big plans. They're going to read 50 books this year, hit the gym every single day, save half of their paycheck. Ambitious goals, big dreams. And what happens? Often, nothing. They don't even make it past the first week. Why does this happen? I remember a friend who tried to change everything last January. He bought all the gym equipment, got the most expensive gym membership, made a plan to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning. This was going to be his year. You know how long it lasted? 3 days. 3 days before he hit a wall. He thought success was about doing these big, dramatic things, but real success is about doing ordinary things consistently. Every person you admire started as a beginner. But we forget that. We only see their highlights, not the small, often invisible steps that got them there. Years ago, I wanted to start running, but on day one, I made the mistake so many make. I decided I'd run 5 miles just like that. You know what happened? I quit after the first try. I told myself I wasn't cut out for it. I blamed my genes, my schedule, everything except my approach. But one day I learned something simple that changed everything. I start so small it feels ridiculous. Yes, really small. Embarrassingly small. Want to read more? Don't try to read a book a week. Start with a single page, just one. Want to get in shape? Don't plan for an hour at the gym. Start with 1 push-up. Want to save money? Don't aim to save half your paycheck. Start with $1. But that's too small, some people say. That won't make a difference. But is that true? Think about it. 1 push-up is better than no push-ups. 1 page is better than no pages. $1 saved is better than none. Small actions add up. Here's the magic: when you start with 1 small step, something amazing happens. That 1 push-up might turn into 2. That 1 page often becomes a chapter. That $1 saved might turn into 10. Why? Because starting is the hardest part. Once you're on the floor for that 1 push-up, you might think, well, I'm already here. Let me do 1 more. Once you've read that first page, you might say, this is interesting. I'll keep going. The brain loves easy wins. When you make something so simple, your brain can't resist. No excuses work when it's this easy. The power of ridiculously easy habits. I knew a woman who had dreamed of writing a book for years. But in her mind, writing a book meant hours at the keyboard, perfect sentences, a perfect storyline, so she never started. Then she tried something different. She committed to 1 sentence every day. That was it. Some days that sentence became a paragraph, sometimes a whole page, but on some days it was just that 1 sentence. You know what happened? A year later, she had a finished book. Not the fastest way, maybe not the most efficient, but it was done. And that's more than most people can say about their dreams. Starting small protects you from burnout. Enthusiasm is like a fire. It burns hot at first, but if it's too intense, it dies out quickly. When you start small, you build a fire that keeps burning. When we learn to drive, nobody takes us straight onto the highway. You start in a parking lot at 5 miles an hour. It's not exciting, it's not glamorous, but it works. This principle applies to everything. Want to meditate? Start with 1 minute. Want to learn a language? Start with 1 word. Want to start a business? Start with 1 customer. The key is to make it so easy you can't say no. Make it so simple it almost seems pointless. Easy wins and big changes. Let's talk about the power of these small wins. Over time, small actions compound. Tiny habits grow. Little wins add up. 1 push-up turns into 5, then 10, then 20. But none of that can happen if you don't start. And if you make it hard, you won't start. Success isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. It's better to do one push-up every day than 50 for 3 days and quit. Think about it, one push-up every day for a year is 365 push-ups. That's more than most people ever do. But it's not about the numbers, it's about who you become in the process. When you do one push-up every day, you become someone who keeps promises to themselves. When you read one page a day, you become a reader. When you save $1 a day, you become an investor. Small actions, big life changes. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one thing, one goal, and make it so easy you can't fail. So simple it feels almost pointless. So easy you feel a little embarrassed to tell anyone. And then do it. Not tomorrow, not next week. Start today. You see, the journey of 1,000 miles doesn't start with a big leap. It starts with a single step. A step so small anyone could take it. The only question is, will you take yours? Set a specific trigger. If you want a habit to stick, you need to give it a home. A place where it fits naturally into your day. You know, it's not about sheer willpower or trying harder every single time. It's about consistency. And one of the best ways to stay consistent is by setting a specific trigger. Think of a trigger as a signal. It's a reminder, a nudge that tells you, hey, it's time to do this. It takes the guesswork out of when to start and removes that mental debate in your head. Suddenly, you're not deciding every day whether or not to do it. You just know it's time. How triggers work. Let's take a look at how triggers actually work. A trigger can be any regular event that already happens in your life. It could be something as simple as brushing your teeth, coming home from work, or even sitting down with your morning coffee. The timing of it doesn't matter as much as the regularity. What matters is that it's something you can count on happening. Let's say you want to start a habit of reading. The best way to make that habit stick is to attach it to something you already do. Every morning you brush your teeth, right? That's your trigger. Now, after brushing your teeth, pick up a book and read one page. Just one page. Now, some people might think only one page, but that's the beauty of it. It's small, so there's no resistance. You're not committing to an hour of reading. You're committing to a page. Over time, that one page might turn into 2, then 10. But the important part is that you're building the habit and you're using that trigger as a launch pad. The importance of consistency. The consistency of the trigger is what makes it powerful. Think about it, you don't forget to brush your teeth. Why? Because it's something you do every day at about the same time. It's automatic. That's how your new habit will start to feel if you're consistent with the trigger. Let's say you want to start journaling. Set a specific trigger for it. Maybe it's right after dinner before you settle down for the evening. Every time you finish dinner, you pull out a notebook and write a few sentences. Doesn't have to be a long entry, just a few thoughts from the day. By attaching your journaling habit to dinner, you remove the need to remember. You don't have to wonder when to journal. You don't wait until you feel inspired. It's right there waiting for you, as natural as the meal you just finished. Make it easy and obvious. The best triggers are ones that are already part of your routine. This way, you're not adding something entirely new to your day. You're just connecting a habit to something that's already there. Think about when you come home from work. That's a specific moment in your day. Maybe you want to use that moment as a trigger to go for a quick walk or do a 5-minute stretch. When you walk in the door, don't let yourself get too comfortable. Just put down your bag, change into your walking shoes, and head out for a few minutes. Or let's say you want to start meditating. Choose a time in the morning when you're already awake and getting ready. Right after you make your bed, take 2 minutes to sit down, close your eyes, and breathe. It's just a few minutes, but it starts the habit, and it's linked to an action you do every day without fail. Using triggers to build momentum. What's amazing about setting triggers is that it builds momentum. You might start with just a few minutes, but over time, those minutes add up. The act of reading one page can lead to reading a chapter, then maybe 2. That 5-minute walk can grow into a 30-minute workout. It's not about changing everything all at once. It's about getting started and letting the habit grow naturally. Remember, a trigger doesn't have to be complicated. The simpler, the better. Pick something specific, make it a natural part of your day, and let that trigger be the spark that sets your new habit in motion. Remove all friction. Now let's talk about friction. When it comes to building habits, friction is anything that makes the habit harder to do. Even small inconveniences can keep you from taking action. To make a habit stick, you have to make it as easy as possible to start. You need to remove every bit of friction that stands in your way. Let's look at a few examples. Say you want to work out in the morning. For a lot of people, just getting out of bed and into gym clothes can feel like a mountain to climb. So make it easy. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Put your shoes right by your bed. Set everything up so that in the morning all you have to do is roll out of bed and put it on. Now, there's no decision to be made, no extra steps that might get in the way. Why friction matters. When we think about habits, we often focus on the effort it takes to do the action. But most of the time, what stops us isn't the action itself. It's the things around it that create friction. It's the little steps, the extra decisions, the small inconveniences. They seem minor, but they're enough to stop us before we even start. For instance, if you want to eat healthier, make it easy to make good choices. Go through your kitchen and remove the junk food. If it's there, you're going to reach for it. But if it's not, you're forced to choose something better. Keep healthy snacks where you can see them: apples on the counter, nuts in an easy-to-reach cabinet. You don't have to fight temptation if you don't see it. Simplify your environment. The idea here is simple. Set up your environment so it's easier to make good choices. If you want to drink more water, don't keep the water in the fridge if that makes it harder. Keep a bottle of water on your desk or carry one with you throughout the day. Make it convenient, make it visible. Suppose you want to read more, but you keep your books in a drawer or a cabinet. Well, you're not going to reach for them if they're out of sight. Put a book on your bedside table, on your coffee table, or even next to your toothbrush. When you see it, you'll remember. When it's easy to pick up, you're more likely to read it. Minimize decisions. One of the biggest sources of friction is decision fatigue. Every time you have to make a choice, it takes mental energy. So remove the need for those decisions. If you want to eat healthier, plan your meals ahead of time. Prep them if you can. Or at least make a list so you know what you're going to have. Want to exercise more? Decide on a specific workout schedule. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. Now it's not a choice, it's just what you do. The less you have to decide, the easier it becomes to stick to your plan. Design your day for success. Think about your daily routine and look for ways to reduce friction. If you want to write more, open up a blank document on your computer at night so it's the first thing you see in the morning. Make it so easy to start that you don't even have to think. Or maybe you want to start meditating every day. Download a meditation app, put it on the front screen of your phone, and set a reminder. Make it so that everything you need is right there, easy to access and ready to go. Or set yourself up for consistency. It's not about willpower, it's about making things smooth and simple. Make it so easy to get started that you almost can't say no. Remember, the best habits are the ones you barely have to think about. So remove all the little obstacles, clear the path, make the habit automatic, and you'll be amazed at how quickly it sticks. Remove friction. Set triggers. And watch how small, simple actions create big, lasting change in your life. Track your progress, not your perfection. If you want to build habits that last, you need a way to see the journey. Progress, not perfection, that's the key. You don't need to be flawless, you just need to stay in motion. Tracking your progress is one of the simplest ways to stay committed. It gives you a sense of accomplishment, a visual reminder that you're doing the work. But here's the catch: tracking doesn't mean judging yourself every time you slip up. It means recognizing the effort, celebrating the steps forward, and getting back on track when you falter. Let's dive deeper into why this works and how to do it. The power of visual progress. There's something powerful about seeing your progress on paper or on a calendar. When you mark each day that you follow through, you're creating a record. It's like telling yourself, I showed up today. And when you look back, those marks, those X's on the calendar, they tell a story of consistency. Tracking gives you motivation. It's tangible proof that you're doing the work. Every day that you put a mark, you're reinforcing that habit. It's a small action, but over time it adds up to something big. Now, don't overcomplicate it. You don't need an app or a complex system. All you need is a simple calendar, a piece of paper, something that lets you see the days you've shown up. Why is this so effective? Because it taps into something deep in us. We like to see progress. It gives us momentum. When you see those marks filling up, it's easier to stay motivated. You don't want to break that streak, do you? Celebrate progress, not perfection. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They track their progress, but they expect perfection. They want to see a perfect record, a streak with no gaps. And as soon as they miss one day, they think it's all over. They get discouraged. They quit. But here's the truth, no one is perfect. Not you, not me. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to keep moving forward, even if you stumble. So when you miss a day, don't let it throw you off track. Just look at it for what it is, a missed day. Nothing more, nothing less. A single day doesn't erase your progress. It's just a bump on the road. And here's the secret: missing a day isn't what breaks a habit. What breaks a habit is missing a day, then missing another, and then another. One missed day is just that one missed day. But when you let that slip turn into a pattern, that's when you lose the habit. The don't break the system mindset. When you track your habits, you're creating a system, a routine, a plan. And the beauty of a system is that it doesn't rely on motivation, it relies on structure. But for that system to work, you have to trust it. You have to follow it, even when you don't feel like it. So here's the mindset you need: don't break the system. Even if you miss a day, get back on track the next day. Don't let one slip turn into a setback. Don't let a single day define your progress. Instead, focus on bouncing back. Think about this: if you miss a day, your only job is to show up the next day. That's it. No need to overcompensate. No need to beat yourself up. Just get back on track. This mindset, this focus on consistency over perfection, is what separates those who succeed from those who quit. The ones who succeed don't let a bad day stop them. They recognize it, they learn from it, and they move forward. The small choices that add up. It's easy to think that success comes from big, grand gestures. But it's not about the big moments. It's about the small choices you make every single day. It's the choice to show up even when you're tired. The choice to mark that calendar even when it feels like a small thing. Think about it. If you make one small choice every day to stick with your habit, that's 365 choices a year. 365 opportunities to build the life you want. But if you skip those small choices, those little moments, you're missing out on something powerful. These small choices are what build discipline. And discipline isn't about doing extraordinary things. It's about doing ordinary things consistently. It's the commitment to stick with your goals even when no one's watching, even when there's no immediate reward. When you track your progress, you're reinforcing those small choices. You're telling yourself this matters. You're creating a record, a story of discipline. And over time, those small choices add up to something extraordinary. Create a habit of self-accountability. When you track your progress, you're also building self-accountability. You're not relying on anyone else to keep you on track. You're relying on yourself, and that's powerful because at the end of the day, no one else can do the work for you. No one else can make those choices for you. Tracking keeps you honest. It's a reminder that you're responsible for your own progress, and when you see that record, you're reminded of the commitment you've made to yourself. Remember, this is your journey, your goals, your discipline. When you track your progress, you're holding yourself accountable. And that accountability builds trust in yourself. It builds confidence. The power of discipline in quiet moments. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't shout or demand attention. Discipline shows up in the quiet moments, the ones when no one's watching. It's easy to be motivated when things are exciting, when you're full of energy. But discipline is what keeps you going when things get tough, when the initial excitement wears off. Think about it. The real test of discipline isn't in the big decisions. It's in the small, everyday choices. It's choosing to mark that calendar, even when it's been a long day. It's choosing to get back on track after a missed day. It's choosing progress over perfection. The quiet moments, the ones when no one's around to see you, that's when discipline truly shows up. That's when habits are built. And that's when you prove to yourself that you're capable of sticking with it. Focus on building the habit, not just the outcome. When you're tracking your progress, remember this: the goal isn't just to reach an outcome. The goal is to build a habit, a way of life. Because once the habit is in place, the results take care of themselves. If you're focused only on the end goal, you'll get frustrated when things don't go perfectly. But if you're focused on building the habit, on showing up every day, then each mark on the calendar is a victory. Each day is a step forward, no matter how small. So don't worry about perfection, don't worry about being flawless, just focus on building the habit, on staying consistent, on tracking your progress and celebrating each day you show up. How to start tracking your progress. Now let's get practical. How do you start tracking your progress? It's simple. Grab a calendar, a notebook, or even a piece of paper. Every day you complete your habit, put a mark on it. A check, an X, whatever works for you. Keep it somewhere you can see it. Make it a part of your routine. Each time you look at that calendar, you'll see your progress. You'll see the effort you're putting in, and that will motivate you to keep going. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress, one day at a time, one mark at a time. So track your progress, celebrate your effort. And don't let one missed day stop you. Just get back on track, keep moving forward, because the journey isn't about reaching a final destination. It's about becoming the person who stays the course. Success doesn't come from doing it all at once. It comes from showing up day after day and building a habit that lasts. And tracking your progress, it's one of the simplest, most powerful tools you have. Use it well. And remember, it's not about perfection, it's about consistency. I've seen people transform their lives using these principles. Not overnight, but steadily, consistently, inevitably. The woman who went from struggling to pay bills to running a successful business. The man who went from being out of breath climbing stairs to running marathons. The student who went from barely passing to top of their class. They all started with the same fundamental truth: systems over willpower. Small actions over perfect actions. Identity over force. Remember, discipline isn't about punishment. It's about freedom. The freedom to choose your future instead of being stuck in your past. The freedom to build the life you want instead of accepting the life you have. You already have everything you need to start. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more information. You just need to understand that every small choice you make today is shaping who you'll become tomorrow. So let me ask you, who are you becoming?